Nigeria facing worsening economic crisis, says IMF. Can you imagine? So IMF is coming out to talk about the situation of Nigeria as if part of the problem is not their economic advice. It's the economic and financial advice to the Nigerian government, telling them to devalue Naira, telling them to borrow. Come and borrow, we'll borrow you. Devalue your Naira to improve your economy. And now after the ill advising Nigerian government, they're now coming out to say that Nigeria is facing worsening economic crisis. Hi, this IMF is double-faced. They are part of the evil that Nigeria is facing. But I don't blame them because Nigerian government don't have sense. If they have sense, they should not take any advice, any external advice that is inimical to the survival of Nigeria. Yes, people are free to advise, but your duty is to filter the advice and know which works for you and which does not work for you. That is it. The International Monetary Fund has said stalled per capita growth, poverty, and high food insecurity have exacerbated the ongoing cost of living crisis in Nigeria. The report came amid rising inflation, exchange crisis, weak economic growth, and business shutdowns. Now, the global lender said this in a new report titled IMF Executive Board concludes post financing assessment with Nigeria. According to the report, low revenue collection has hampered the provision of services and public investment. So it noted that headlines inflation reached 27% year-on-year in October, food inflation 32%, reflecting the effects of fuel subsidy removal, exchange rate depreciation, and poor agricultural production in the country. So the report read in part, Nigeria faces a difficult external environment and wide-ranging domestic challenges. External financing, market and official is scarce, and global food prices have surged, reflecting the repercussions of conflict and geo-economic fragmentation. So per capita growth in Nigeria has stalled, poverty and food insecurity are high, exacerbating the cost of living crisis, low reserves and very limited fiscal space constraint the authorities' option space. So against this backdrop, the authorities focus on restoring macroeconomic stability and creating conditions for sustained high and inclusive growth is appropriate. See the IMF. Amid Nigeria's current economic difficulties, the report noted that on January 12, 2024, the Executive Board of the IMF concluded the post-financing assessment and endorsed the staff appraiser on a lapse of time basis. It added that Nigeria's capacity to repay the IMF is adequate. Can you imagine? So that they can still come and borrow. The capacity to pay is adequate so that they can still come and borrow. Can you see? Can you see? The IMF also expressed optimism that the new administration had made a strong start tackling deep-rooted structural issues in challenging circumstances. Immediately, it adopted two policy reforms that its predecessors had shielded away, namely fuel subsidy removal and the unification of the official exchange rates. So it added that the new CBN team has made price stability its core mandate and demonstrated this resolve by dropping its previous role in development finance. Okay, on the fiscal side, the authorities are developing an ambitious domestic revenue mobilization agenda. How? By taxing commercial banks and commercial bank customers. Is it not? So according to data from the Debt Management Office, Nigeria currently owes the IMF the sum of $2.8 billion, and the federal government in its 2024 budget plans to spend about 8.2 trillion naira on debt servicing. Can you imagine? So professional services firm PricewaterhouseCoopers in a new report warned that Nigeria's rising debt service cost might affect the country's debt servicing ability, credit rating outlook, and borrowing costs. So PwC said debt servicing could rise from 8.5 8.25 trillion in 2024 to 9.3 trillion in 2025 and further to 11.1 trillion in 2026. So in all of these, who do we blame? It's the Nigerian government that does not know what to do, that are prioritizing selfish interest to be rebuilding the nation's economy. In the midst of all of this, they are still stealing billions and billions of dollars, stealing billions and billions of naira. Always, instead of looking into the economy and looking at how they can improve manufacturing, production, and agriculture, and then mining, they are looking at only oil production, and then the next thing is looting. They are only looking at looting. You can imagine approving 500 million naira just for a committee to sit down and review minimum wage. So after the review, how much is minimum wage going to be? Meanwhile, the 35,000 palliative they said they were going to pay for 6 months to civil servants have not been paid. All the minimum wages they have been proposing over the years have not been paid, and they want to review it again. Hi, this country. Who do us? Who do us? Who do us? This is a very serious one, I'm telling you. Now, people are already reacting to this IMF position on the state of Nigeria's economy. Somebody saying, IMF again, do they expect high revenue collection from a strangulated economy? Who advised the government to remove fuel subsidy? Now them now, eh? That is it. They give Nigeria ill economic advice and they come back at the other end again to talk as if they care about Nigeria. Let this government stop lying that things are getting better. They should ask God for forgiveness because APC stole another man's mandate, bribed their way to remain in power. Those who supported them are crying. Why? Of course, they will continue to cry. Hypocritical group of devils. Okay, you plan for this, but by God's grace, we will get out of this. Yes, by God's grace, we'll get out, but Nigerian government need to borrow sense and do the needful. That is it. Is it not your plan? My only regret is that the fools you are using as stooges never realize it on time. They've never even realized it at all. Their selfish interest is one of the things driving their decision, not even the economy or the welfare of the citizen. That is how bad it is. This same IMF said things were getting better in Nigeria. Which report do we believe? They go back and forth. They go back and forth. I just pity Nigeria because the government don't know what to do. The government is selfish, and once they see white man talk, their belly don't scatter. They fidget, they shake like a camel. That is how bad it is. These people don't have double brain. The same brain God gave them is the same brain God gave us. So why are we waiting for them to advise us before we know what to do? Quite unfortunate. So thank you for listening, and let's have your comment.